All right, today we're going to walk through the Emporia Country Club course. Hole number 1 is it's got a new look to it than it has in the past. We're teeing off from the pool area, and that section of fence you see in front of you will be removed. The shot on this is going to be over the tree there on the right, and coming down in the middle of that little fairway area, you can see there that tall grass. It's kind of a different color there. You can see in the distance is all going to be OB. And anything left of the cart path there on the left is also OB. And the pond is relatively close to the basket. There on the left, I could see some people ending up in the pond right there. But for the most part, a lot of people are just going to be taking a 3 on this, on the first hole here at the Emporia Country Club. Hole number 2 is 549-foot par 4. It's relatively easy if you just play the shot for birdie. A couple of the bigger arms can maybe get up and down for the eagle, but not very likely. There's tall grass OB all down the left side, and it comes up to the pond. And then down the right side, you have the cart path. The best shot on this hole is just throw it down to this big tree you can see in the middle of the fairway. Usually like a fairway driver or a mid-range works pretty well. And it'll leave yourself with a couple 100-foot approach into the green for an easy 3. I'd say this is probably the easiest par 4 on the course. And then we go to one of the harder par 4s on the course. Hole number 4, 681 feet. This shot, I ended up going a little bit further left than I wanted. That fairway, the golf fairway you can see on the left, is actually out of bounds. I came pretty close to it. I stayed in bounds. But you want to make sure to keep it a little bit further right than I did on this, but not so far right that you go across the cart path you can see. So since I was really far left, I didn't really want to risk going up the left side of the fairway, so I chose to throw a more of a big spike hyzer just to get myself in position so I can get up and down for the easy par on this hole, which would be a 4. This angle here, you can kind of get a better idea of how close that fairway is to the basket. So it starts out pretty wide and then it really narrows down, and right at the basket it's probably only about 30 feet landing area. So your approaches into this are going to be a very important key to keep it nice and straight. All right, hole number 4 is 324 feet, par 3. This is going to be the hole you're going to want to birdie. There's a cart path there right in front of you that you got to clear off the tee. There's a bunker and a green, golf green there up on the right side, and it's really the only danger on the hole. You just want to play it over the top of that bunker on the right side of the fairway. And pretty much every shot I've thrown on this hole that I've had a nice hyzer line on over the top of that bunker you can see right there coming in, gets a pretty nice skip toward the basket. The only other trouble on the hole is there's the fairway just on the left side of the hole that is OB, but usually doesn't come into play. So this is one of those holes that you're going to want to get your deuce on and move on to the next hole. Hole number 5, pretty difficult hole. The tee shot is the most important shot on this hole. That tree you see right in the middle that my disc was flying towards it's in a little bit of an island that's safe, but the fairway all down the right side is out of bounds. So the shot here, this is a good view of the fairway you can see, and there's the tree that you can kind of see how it's in bounds, and all the yellow grass there will be out of bounds. So the shot here is throw it right at that tree and let it hyzer down. Most of my shots on this hole will land right down there in the gully. The gully's safe. The only OB on the left side is the cart path and beyond. So it's not a bad play to play it out a little bit further left, and it gives you a nice little window uphill, about 280, 300 feet up this hill for your approach into the green, the basket green. And the only OB long, it's probably about 60 feet past the basket, so the long OB doesn't usually come into play. Most people, if they do go out of bounds on this hole, it's in the fairway on the right side. And that is one of the worst places to miss, because if you happen to miss on the right side, you're looking at a 5 because you have to take your OB stroke from so far back. So the key on this hole is to make sure you get inbounds. Hole number 6 is a pretty long par 3. It's 580 feet downhill. Not a lot of trouble. The road on the right, the cart path way left. The fairway on this hole is actually inbounds. The shot here is just a big flex shot. There's a lot more elevation on the hole than it shows, so you can get a pretty good rip off on this hole. Some of the bigger arms will probably be getting a deuce looks at the hole. This particular drive is one of the longest drives I've ever had on the hole, and if I get this close, I'm just really looking to give it a decent look. And if you miss, don't go too far. Just get your par and move on. Those bushes you can see on the right are pretty thick, and they can be a challenge to get out of if you land inside them. Hole 7, 386 feet, slightly downhill, par 3. The road is on the right. There's a really thick bush just past it, and a golf green on the left. So what I like to do here is throw a fairway driver out to the right side, then a little bit of a hyzer line, and let it skip up there. The basket sits on a bit of a mound, so if you go too far past it, it can make for a difficult comeback putt. And that particular putt that I had, if I had missed, I land in that bush, and it's a really low ceiling bush, so it can be difficult to get out of. Hole number 8, 629 feet uphill. This happened to be another great tee shot I had on the hole here. The fairway you can see on the left is all out of bounds, so you want to flex one or play the hyzer around the tree there in the middle of the fairway. The tree line on the right side, the cedars you can see there in the distance, that will all be out of bounds. The trees will be out of bounds, and the fairway you can see right here in the bottom of the screen will be out of bounds as well. So the tee shot here, you just want to play either a flex shot or a big hyzer out to the middle of the fairway and give yourself a nice open look into the green to get yourself the easy 3. Keep it in bounds, and you should play this hole pretty well. Moving on to hole 9, 430 feet, pretty difficult shot. The shot here is something stable, flat, right down the cart path. Anything cart path and beyond to the right is out of bounds. Fairway left is out of bounds. I've seen a lot of people on this hole. This is a good look at the fairway, at the cart path going down. I've seen a lot of people throw and turn something over, not quite stable enough, and it doesn't quite come back, so they stay out of bounds the whole way. So pretty much going to have to re-tee if you don't throw something stable enough. The fairway does slope from right to left, so naturally everything wants to skip to the left a little bit. And then that little creek you can see beyond the basket's out of bounds as well. So it's a pretty difficult par 3. For me, it's a bonus if I get it. Hole 10, 402 feet. That bunker, you can see everything right of that bunker is out of bounds. Pretty easy shot. You don't want to come up short left where that willow tree hangs. So if you catch some of those branches and fall, it can be a pretty difficult approach into the green. The cart path on the left is out of bounds, and it sits about 25 feet from the pin. So if you throw something on a sharp edge and it skips a lot, there's a chance you're going to skip out of bounds left on this hole. Hole 11 is probably one of my favorite holes. There used to be some trees here on the front side that make it a little more difficult, but I really enjoy the roller here. The cart path and left is out of bounds, and the tree line on the right side is inbounds, but it might as well be out of bounds because if you happen to throw inside those trees, then it's pretty much going to take you a stroke or two just to get out. So really the shot here is just down the middle. You can throw the roller if you want, if you got faith that it's going to finish to the right, or you can just throw a nice little flex shot somewhere down in the middle of the fairway and play your approach into the green. This shot here was a pretty good shot for me. Left myself a nice jumper for eagle. Came up just on the right side, but I would never complain with a 3 on this hole 11. It's pretty difficult. There is a drop zone if you go OB off the tee. It's pretty tough up and down from that drop zone as well. So make sure you keep your tee shot inbounds. Hole 12, 364 feet, downhill blind shot. OB all down the left side of the fairway, all down the right side as well, where you can see these red stakes. Here's a better angle of it. You can see the red stakes all the way down past the basket. And the bunker and green, of course, golf green beyond the basket is OB as well. But I've never seen anybody get that far. The trees usually will stop you if you throw a shot a little bit harder than you wanted to. But you can see how close that OB there is on the right side. You just want to make sure to keep it nice and straight and don't finish right on this hole 12. Hole 13, 371 feet uphill, par 3. You got to be very risky on this hole if you want to get the birdie. This shot here is a very difficult shot to throw. That tree line you can see all down the left side. The cedars are all out of bounds as well. Cart path and beyond on the right side is out of bounds. If you want to get a birdie on this hole, you have to get as close to that OB down the right side. A lot of people will play an overstable driver down the right side of the cart path and actually skip out of bounds into inbounds, such as I did here, to give yourself an easier look at the two. And you can get a good idea of how close that basket is to the cart path. Hole 14, 766 feet, par 4. Probably one of the more difficult par 4s as well. The tee shot is downhill, sloping from right to left. And that cart path and beyond is OB, and the property line on the right side is OB. So the tee shot here, you really want to be as far down the fairway as possible on the left side. This tee shot was pretty good. If I landed in this position every time I played the hole, I'd be very happy. Close to the OB on the left, but got a pretty good look at the approach. I left it quite a bit shorter than I wanted, but the reason is that wall you can see there in front of the golf green, anything past that and left is out of bounds. So it makes for a little, island almost green that you're throwing into with the golf green on the left, the wall, and the fence on the right side of the basket, all out of bounds. Left my putt just a little bit high for the birdie, but a 4 on this hole 14 will not kill you. A 3 is going to be a bonus for the most part, and you'll probably be making strokes on the field. Hole 15 plays as an island. It's 426 feet, slightly downhill. The fairway you can see there on the right side is all out of bounds, and the cart path and beyond on the left side is out of bounds. Your tee shot must come into bounds off the tee. If not, you go to the drop zone, which I am walking across right now with a stroke penalty. And from there, it's not an easy approach. You should be able to get up and down, but it can be deceiving as far as how far it is. This hole I like to play out to the right side, let it skip in. I didn't get as much of a skip on this, but I was fortunate enough to make the putt. Moving on to one of my favorite holes in disc golf, the island hole. Now, this hole used to be number 18, but we've changed it up a little bit for course flow problems and trying to solve those issues. You can lay up. I actually had a fantastic drive here, probably one of the better drives I've ever had on this hole. I hit the pole. It's 365 feet. You can play it off to the right side and lay up to be safe, and then throw your shot into the green, or you can go for the green, and if you happen to go OB, there is a drop zone that plays about 60 feet or so. So my shot on this hole is just go for the green, and if I miss, take my 4 and move on. Hole 17 is probably the hardest hole on the course. It is a 850-foot par 5. A lot of people will throw the big hyzer on this hole. I like the flex shot down the middle because everything left on that tree line is OB, and the fairway on the right is all out of bounds, making this hole very, very difficult. Here's a better look at our fairway that we'll be throwing down. Just left of me, about 20 feet, you can kind of see that tree line where the cedars run. That is all out of bounds. This hole plays as like a big number 7 as far as the layout. It's a big dog leg to the left. And right here where I am is about as far down the fairway as I can get. And then there's a birdhouse there on the corner for reference that you really want to be able to throw over the top of. And just try to get as far up the fairway as possible and on the right side of the fairway. Here you can kind of tell how it really bends around, and there's the birdhouse I was referring to that you kind of want to throw your approach shot over the top of. And here's a good view of the green with the willow trees hanging down. You don't want to be too close to those willows. It'll make for some very, very difficult putts, very frustrating putts at times. So you want to be as far down on the right side as possible. This is a par 5, so this putt for 3 would have been amazing to hit. Matter of fact, I believe it would have been my first ever 3 on the hole. So if I forward this hole every time I played it, I would be perfectly fine with that, especially when the winds get gusty. So par 5, getting a 4 isn't going to kill you. The new hole 18, 858 feet uphill. Huge tee shot. You have to. It basically plays like old number 1 backwards, only from across the water. You have to clear that cart path right there in front of you in order to stay in bounds. And if you don't clear the cart path that you can see here, there's a little flag I'm walking past right now. That'll be the drop zone. If you don't come in bounds, you have to take a stroke penalty and go to the drop zone. And from there, at best, you're going to take as a 5. My tee shot landed up to the right. I tried to split the gap here. I clipped the tree up closer to the basket. Had it been just about 20, 30 feet right of my shot, it would have been probably skipping up to the basket parked. But here's a good look at the water. It slopes down to the right, so it'll naturally funnel that way. There's a golf green up to the left that you can see that's out of bounds. And this green on the golf hole is very difficult. You can see I got a little bit of a roll there. The picture doesn't really do justice of how far left to right that this fairway slopes. And that tree line on the right side is actually all out of bounds. So just getting your 4 on this hole is going to be a good job. 3s are going to be a bonus.